Hello, hello, hello. Just me casually stuffing my face. I apologize about that. All the chewing and mooing. Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody on this? I wish I could say fine Tuesday morning, but unfortunately it's not very fine here in the Shire. What about everybody else? How is your day going so far? If you could let me know that you can hear me and see me, that would be fantastic. Get rid of this and this. Okay. Hello, everyone. All right, cool. So we're getting good at this, getting it straight into working, which is awesome. Love, love, love. So buenos dias, everyone. So Taurus Garden, Laurel Berg, um, my wonderful members, thank you so much for being here. So Kelly, hello from Norwich. Lovely to have you. I love Norwich. Got a big, big soft spot in my heart for that place. It's just such a magical place, isn't it just, right? And if I'd had yeah, anyway, I'm not going to get into a tirade of what is just not important for anybody to know. So let me put this here because, as you know, Rafi does have a tendency to waffle from time to time. All right, so yeah, here as well. I'm in the Midlands, West Midlands, and it is wet as you like. Chucking it down. Morning, Heidi. Hello, lovely. Lovely to have you. Hope you're okay. Zero N. What's up? What's up? What's up? Lovely to have you. Love this making my breakfast. Oh, yum. Hi, Mandy. Hello. Hey, Yards. Lovely to have you. I hope you guys are all well. So, um, is that is that working? I think so. All right, so as you can tell from the title, today is all about Mars moves, baby. So whenever we're talking about Tuesday, we are looking at the Mars transits because Mars Day is Tuesday. All right, so for those of you that don't know, if you are new to my channel, I am Raphael. I am an astrologer, a tarot reader, a numerologist, and an energy worker. I use all of those spiritual sciences to bring you these messages Monday through Friday. We go live from around 12 o'clock. I say around 12 o'clock because it's usually give or take about 5-10 minutes. And I use all of the spiritual sciences to bring you these messages. Basically, Mars Day, Mars Moves is all about tracking the Mars transits. So, for those of you that are continued subbies, you know Rafi loves you. Obviously, I'm going to ask all of you, please, please, please hit the like button on this video. Please send lots of hearts and all the rest of it. Share the video to anybody that you feel like might get something out of this, because obviously engagement really helps the channel and it also helps the YouTube gods to shine on Radiant reality. So I would appreciate that so, so very much. Now, that being said, we are, as I said, here to talk about Mars moves. Do you love my little chimnea? I love this thing. I bought it for £1. £1 in Poundland, like however many years ago. I did have four of them, and this is the only one that's managed to survive the raffening. I don't know about anybody else. Is anybody else super clumsy, or is it just me? I am quite a clumsy bear. So yeah, it's apparently it's one of my endearing qualities is that I seem so self-assured and bouncy and all the rest of it, and I'm a complete klutz. So there's that. All right. Thank you so much for the hearts in the comments. I truly appreciate and love each and every single one of you. Thank you for being here if you are here today, and thank you for watching this if you are watching after. Kelly, listen, we love a Poundland here in UK, right? Wherever you go, you love a Poundland. Okay, so that being said, we are here to talk about Mars. Now, as you already know, Mars is still currently in the sign of Cancer, right? So what we're looking at here is the Mars moves, right? Actionable energies for the week ahead. This is where we're going to track Mars. We're going to look at what it's doing so that we can tap into that energy. It is a somewhat quieter, dare I say, energy for the week, but Mars is still in Cancer, right? So it's still in the sign of its fall. This time, though, obviously, because at this point, Mars is basically halfway through through Cancer, right? So at this point, we're starting to really understand this energy. We're going to need to get really used to it, right? Because first of all, wherever Cancer is in your chart is a deeply personal space. It's a very not necessarily delicate, but sensitive space within our chart, right? So, that being said, Mars people are Aries people, obviously, and Mars is the ancient ruler of Scorpio. So, if you are a an Aries ascendant or a Scorpio ascendant, I want to see you in the chat. Drop me a little flame emoji because we're talking about Mars, right? So I want to see the fire. Who out there has fire sign slash Mars sign placements, right? So I want to hear from those of you that have a an Aries ascendant or a Scorpio ascendant. Sorry, I was reading the comments at the same time. Let me see it roll through the comments. Heidi says that they got the dollar store in Canada. Listen, this is my problem, right? If I ever come to the States or Canada, I like UHL, DHL, UPS, those people are going to love me because I'm going to be shipping out everything that I buy. So I don't have to take it through through all my suitcases. All right, cool. So we've got some Scorpio ascendants, we've got some Aries moon, Scorpio sun. Wow. Okay, so you really are feeling that. Oh my gosh. Black Moon Lilith Astrology. I know you. I watch your stuff. If you are who I think you are, oh my God, that's such a like, I'm super honored. Thank you for being here. Oh my gosh. Cindy, hello, lovely. Like, good to have you. Beatrice P, one of my wonderful members. Thank you so much. Scorpio Mars placement here. Does it count? Ah, well, we're going to count everybody. We're looking at Mars in general, but I just wanted to know, like, who obviously among us have like an Aries rule, Mars ruled sign on the ascendant, because you guys will really be feeling this a lot, right? Now, that being said, we're going to take a look at the chart, right? But before we get into that, as I was saying, Mars is moving through the sign of Cancer. It tells us really how to, because it's in the sign of Cancer. Cancer is traditional, right? It's feeling, it's caring, it's intuitive. It's when I say gentle, it is gentle, but it's gentle in terms of a caregiver. And so sometimes that looks like the matron or the stern doctor that needs to tell you to, get it together so that you can get better. It's also where you need comfort and nurturing, right? And how you give that to others out there in the world is is that space in Cancer, right? So if Cancer is your sixth house, as an example, that might be what you give and need from your work. If Cancer is your, I don't know, third house, that might be what you give and need from your studies or your learning or your communication style, right? So knowing where Cancer is in your chart will be important because it's being impacted by Mars at the moment. Now, that being said, this transit of Mars, this first transit of Mars, is it's nicer than what we're going to have moving forward. And the reason I say this is because Mars, as it moves through the end of Cancer and comes into the beginning of Aries, This is setting up what I am calling a spiritual and emotional surgery, right? Hold on to that idea. And if you haven't seen my 2025 astrology overview, please check it out. There's some really important information in there. I'll make sure there's a link for it in the description box below. But truthfully speaking, there's some interesting and some important information in that video. So make sure you have a little look-see at it, right? So I'm going to bring this back to today and I'm going to share the chart and I just want you guys to tell me if you can see said chart. Let's do that. Chart is set to London, baby. Yeah. Right. So, for those of you that don't know, if I haven't said it already, remember, whenever I am talking about astrology, I'm talking about whole sign tropical Western astrology for those of you that would like to know what calculations I use. And I mean, when it comes to other things like natal and or electional, I will use equal sign houses and I will also use Placidus just to really fine tune something. But I find for collective readings like this, then really and truthfully, whole sign is best. And to be fair, I've had really good results with whole sign, so I don't see the point in, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, henny. Now, that being said, please ignore the houses on the inside. We're not looking at that, we're just looking at the outside. And there is Mars, right, at 15 degrees of Cancer. Now, this is interesting for a few reasons, right? Mars is at 15 degrees of Cancer. It's the midway point through the sign. So what this means is we've had halfway done with this transit of Mars moving through the sign of Cancer. Now, it's obviously been shaking things up in different ways, and it's at the midpoint of this sign, right? This is at the bulk of energy, like it's a very Cancerian energy. But interestingly enough, this decan, right? So this slice of the sign. So when you look at each one of the signs and in their respective house, if you see this space, so you see this line, you see this line, and all in between is the space of Cancer. Each one of these portions is 30 degrees. It starts at 0 degrees and it goes right the way through to 29, right? But it's actually a 30-degree slice of the pie, if you like. Now, what we do in astrology, or there is a concept known as the decans, whereby the first 10 degrees of the sign, the second 10 degrees of the sign, and the third 10 degrees of the sign, that makes 30, basically those are called decans, right? And each one of them pertains to a different type of energy and has a different ruler. The ruler of the middle decan or the second decan of Cancer is actually Mercury. Now, interestingly enough, in tarot, for those of you that have taken my tarot course, you will already know this, but this portion of the sky belongs to the Three of Cups. And so, what this tells me is there's a chance today, as in Tuesday, to have or to open up a dialogue of some sort. It is a very late part of this, right? Like, because obviously Luna is at the moment, she's balsamic, right? Look at where the moon is in Virgo at 24 degrees. If you were on yesterday, then you caught the moon day magic. We did all about the moon and what she was going to be doing over the course of the week. So I won't go into that. But look, right, this is very close because tomorrow we have an epic event. Can anybody in the comments tell me what is happening tomorrow? What is the epic event that I am relating to? Let me see it roll through the comments while I have a little sip of my tea. Mm. Does anybody know? I know there's a delay, so it might take a moment for it to come up. The Ring of Fire solar eclipse. Asleep by Nine, absolutely. Laurelberg, well remembered. We have the water trine, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment. But yes, tomorrow is the new moon solar eclipse. Nice one, Beatrice. Okay, so As you can see, Mars is at 15. That's today. Now, the other thing with this, Mercury, interestingly enough, in the sign of Libra, over here at 9 degrees of Libra, is now setting this square up, right? And that square is going to continue to be felt over the next few, let's say over the next 5, 6 days at least. And so when planets are in a square, it creates an energy of tension, right? And it creates an energy of conflict, but it also provides the friction that we need to create change. I always see in astrology, whenever we're talking about a square, I see this kind of energy as, you know what, this made me uncomfortable to the point where I said, yeah, I'm not having this experience again, so I'm going to get proactive and I'm going to do something about it, right? So squares can absolutely be used. Now, what this means is there are some hard conversations, and I've been talking about this hard conversation stuff for a while. Now we're starting to see it play out, right? Um, and over this coming week, we will definitely see that. Be ready, be prepared. Now that you know this is coming, you can adjust accordingly, right? If you can feel your anxiety or your anger or your whatever it is level starting to rise, remember, okay, yes, this is on par for what should be happening right now. How do I open up a dialogue to make this better? How do I talk about this in a way that is more constructive? One thing that I have consciously decided to do over this next 2 week period, starting today actually, is to voice my annoyance or my gripe or my problem or my issue and just say how I feel rather than bottling it all up so that it can explode out. What's the point in that? It's not healthy for anybody. And at least if you're expressing yourself as consciously as possible, maybe it doesn't come out right. Okay, like I'm not saying we have to be perfect. What I'm saying is we have a chance here to open up a dialogue. Is it going to be comfortable? No, probably not. Right. As we come into Wednesday, right? Mercury's moving forward. So you see that square now to Mars, it's starting to apply, right? Like it's an applying square, which means that it's approaching the point where it's going to continue sort of doing its thing, right? In the background of this, we have that grand water trine, which I will be mentioning again later. I know everyone's going to be haunted in their dreams from now on, like, oh my gosh, this damn water trine, enough, Raph. Please, enough, no more. Right? So on Wednesday, this is the eclipse, right? Now, exactitude, if I move this forward by some hours, exactitude is here. So it's about 6:05 here in the UK. Um, wherever you are in the world, you'll have to adjust that time to obviously your local time, but that's kind of what it looks like. Now I'm going to take this back to 12 noon. And I will say, I'm not going to say so much about the eclipse because if you haven't seen it already, I've already posted the video premiere. Tomorrow, I will be releasing a collaboration with my wonderful and very well esteemed astrology teacher. I've been so blessed. I literally have had like the best astrology teachers that are out there. Started with Frank Clifford and the London School of Astrology. Then I studied with Adam Ellenbass, and not just Frank as well. I also studied under Richard Swatton, who is incredible. I've actually had him on the channel a few times as well. I then moved on to Adam Ellenbass and worked with him. And this was while he was, I don't know if you remember, he used to be called a tutor barber. Either which way, brilliant astrologer, wonderful human. Then I went on to astrology with Heather. So Heather from Astrology with Heather. I have had like I've been so lucky and so blessed and so privileged to have like genuinely amazing teachers. So yeah, just want to shout out a portion and a few of them. Now, that being said, tomorrow you will be seeing that video. It's already on the channel as a premiere. So if you haven't seen it, like click the bell notification so that you get notified whenever I post new stuff and look out for that. It will be released tomorrow at 12, so I won't be going live, but that video will be up and out there for your pleasure. Adam really gets into it with the eclipse as an overview. He then talks about a small horoscope for each sign, and then yours truly pulls some cards. So you are literally getting like the best of both worlds, right? Have at it. So then on Thursday, Mars comes to 16 degrees. That water trine is still in the air. And also, now we start to really feel that Chiron and Mercury T-square with Mars, right? So Mercury's at 12 at this point, Moon's at 18. I wouldn't really count Luna at this point because she's past it, right? Lunar transits move so quickly that I don't really get into it in that way, right? Now you've got the Mercury at 12, Chiron at 21. Isn't that interesting, right? The 12 and 21. And then you've got Mars at 16, right? Um, it's a good question, and I'm going to answer that in a moment, actually, because I think a lot of people have that question. Um, so, yes, right, you've got Mars at 16, you've got this T square going on. Whenever you see a T square configuration, the planet that plays the anchor is the way out, right? So Mercury wants one thing from us in the Libra area of our chart. So it wants communication, it wants balance and fairness and harmony, and it wants to find a way through. And it also wants us to find a way to use our logic and our intellect and our maturity to really find a solution that has grace and diplomacy at its basis. And then we've got Chiron in Aries, which is saying, but hang on a sec, you can't forget what it has cost you to be yourself, right? Chiron moving through the sign of Aries. Aries is the sign of self. So wherever Aries is in your chart, this is where you are bold, dynamic, brave, fierce, angry, overconfident. It's also the area of your chart where you are so individual, right? Truthfully speaking, there are three signs that really speak to individuality. Aries is one of them. Aquarius is obviously another one of them. And the other one is Leo, right? Because Leo is about the heart. It's about who we are at that core level, right? So those three signs really specifically for me talk about individuality, right? Aries is absolutely the pioneer. And because it's the sign of the self and Chiron represents the wound, right? It's our sacred wound. It's what we experience. It's what we've carried. It's all of those things. When people hit their Chiron return, I always encourage them to become a coach or a teacher of some sort, because by the time this has traveled the whole zodiac, you'll be about 48 to 51 or 52, give or take, right? It's in that bracket. As that is the case, by then you know enough to really share something with the world. But Chiron in Aries right now, and it's been there for a lot of us, this is showing us where in your life, particularly, it has cost you, where you have been wounded just for being yourself. Now, that's not, I mean, this is the sign of Aries. So it's not like, oh no, I'm wounded. Poor me. Aries is like, yeah, and what? Let me show you what I did with this wounding. I ain't out for the count. You need to throw a harder punch than that, right? So this is where we get brave with it. This is where we kind of say, okay, you know what? This is what it's cost me to be myself. So right now, you've got, or should I say on Thursday, we're going to have Chiron pulling on us in that Aries space of our chart where we're like, no, hang on a sec. This is where I've suffered. This is where I've had to go without. This is where I've had challenges. This is where I've had woundings. This is what I've had to carry over a lifetime in this area of my life, right? Because Aries will occupy a house in your chart, and that house will speak to a specific area of your life. Right? Then you've got Mercury saying, oh, you know, but can't we just talk about this and find a way through and and all of that, right? Okay, great. That's a good thing. Open up the dialogue, absolutely. But then Mars in the sign of Cancer is literally saying, hang on a second, right? I'm going to fight for this, but what I have to fight for, and interestingly enough, Mars is the ruler of that Chiron because Chiron is currently in Mars's sign, right? So suddenly we start to see wherever Cancer is in our chart is already slightly compromised because we've got Mars in that space where Mars is in its full. right? And it's really making us very sensitive. And in this T square, it's not Mercury that has the power. It's not even Chiron that has the power. It's Mars. Mars in that intuitive, feeling, emotional, sensitive, nurturing, nourishing, smothering at times sign of Cancer to say, hang on a sec, this is how I feel. And you don't get to rewrite my history or my experience just because of how it makes you feel, right? This is about expressing your hurt. It's about expressing your wound. It's about finding your personal power, Mars, and potentially shedding some tears over it to heal something in your life. So Thursday is going to be a very sensitive day. We're just off the back of an eclipse, right? It's going to be really powerful stuff. And I'm keeping an eye on the comments and I can see you guys are all, I love it. You're obviously resonating with what I'm saying. Sorry, you know I get really passionate about this stuff. So so I have to remind myself to bring it down. But at the same time, we're talking about Mars. So, it kind of tracks. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. I'm going to address some of this stuff that's coming up in the comments. So the Taurus Garden says, is it okay to go outside during a solar eclipse or is it just super superstitious? I would say it's probably a bit of both. I would say the same way that they tell you not to look at an eclipse because it's not good for your eyes, you probably don't want to get caught by those rays because if it's not good for your eyes, maybe it's also not good for your energy or your auric body. I tend to really scale back in times of eclipses. I don't, very often I don't do client work. Certainly not on the day of the eclipse, just because it's too volatile. And you could say it's, that's too superstitious or whatever. I just feel that maybe it's not the time to do anything. It really is an eclipse season, an eclipse time, an eclipse transit, the day before, the day of, and the day after, even though actually it's bigger than that. It really is a time for observation rather than doing, right? I'm okay to be doing this kind of stuff, but isn't it interesting that tomorrow I'm putting out a recorded video as opposed to being live, right? Because it's the eclipse. And as many of you know, I am a Leo ascendant and I've got a Cancer moon. So two very important aspects of my chart are being compromised tomorrow. So it doesn't make sense for me to be out and about being busybody, this, that, and the other, and all the rest of it. And it's hard because, there are things that I like to do. Like, I've really wanted to be out and about doing certain things. And I'm like, no, this is probably not the right time for that, Raf. It will come, right? So do you see what I mean? I hope that answers the question. Laurel, fifth house with Jupiter and Venus. Wow. Okay. Heidi says also have Venus in Aries. I love Venus in Aries. Right? Venus, it gets a bad rap because it's not a great place for her to be, but I've got Venus in Aries and I love my Venus Aries. Um, Heidi says, yeah, extremely sensitive. Absolutely. Don't apologize for your passion. Love it. Have a brain MRI aim on the day. So tomorrow, and it may very well be DDK. It might very well be a time where you get the answers and the information that you need, right? Um, Leo rising, get your passion. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I have a Venus in Aries, and I love it. It gets a lot of stick because everyone's like, oh, it's not a great place for Venus, and she's a benefic, so really you want her in a nice sign, but it is what it is, right? I've got Venus in Aries, and I love my Venus in Aries. Uh, how she behaves from time to time is an interesting experience. All right, so I'm going to get back to sharing the chart, and we will move on to Friday. Just let me know if you can see. Can you see the chart once more? Shay, me too. Yeah, love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. All right. Jupiter in Aries as well. Nice. All right, so I think you guys can see the chart now. So I'm going to advance it once more. And as we can see, Friday is really just more of the same, apart from that moon square Pluto. So I will say watch out on Friday because Heidi, Heidi. No bitter old queens up in here. Okay, right. Um, I mean, well, that's to come, isn't it? But yeah, watch out for Friday because it will be more of us in the fields. And also, as you can see, that square to Mercury is applying, right? This is why I said it's going to continue sort of unfolding. But then Saturday, bam, look at Mars, right? 17 degrees. This is a big, big deal. Okay, now by Saturday, Mars moves into 17 degrees, and this is a powerful moment. This is a day to take note of. In fact, Saturday and Sunday, I would say, really pay attention to what is showing up, especially in that Cancer ruled part of your chart and that specific area of life, because this degree, 17 degrees, is where Mars is going to return to when it goes retrograde, right? And that retrograde cycle really begins on Saturday because this is Mars moving into its shadow period. What this means is this is where Mars really begins to slow down, and we're going to start to feel that, right? That you're going to feel that energy start to slow down, and when a planet goes retrograde, its energies tend to go more inward, right? And so the reason this is important is because as we go forward, Mars is going to move right up to and including 6 degrees of Leo, and it will do that right up to the 7th of December. Right, so I'm going to advance this chart to the 7th. I'm going to advance this chart to December. Right, 7th of December. Look at this. Look where Mars is at 6 degrees of Leo. Right, now this is a big deal. Let me take it back one day. So look, right, 6th, pale on the 7th, goes retrograde, right? Now, this is a big deal, and there's a reason for this because as Mars retrogrades in Leo, it's going to cross the threshold and come back into the sign of Cancer, and it's going to go right back over or right back to the 17th degree of Cancer, right? So we're going to be whatever you are in, whatever is showing up for you as of Saturday this week, you will be revisiting that next year and you'll probably be going over it and certainly the themes of whatever was started or going on at this time, right the way up and through until probably about like mid-March of 2025. Right, so it's a pretty big deal. Okay, now let me come back to now. Bring it back by some minutes because I like it to be about here. And then days, days. So that's Saturday, right? Mars at 17 degrees. Now, there are some things that you can do to use this energy and to work with this energy that much more consciously. Remember my retrograde survival kit. It's very nearly ready, my lovelies. It is coming. This is going to be actionable energy work that you can use, as well as information on how to use and tap into and slide through the retrograde season. I'm really excited about that. There's going to be a handful of coupons so that you'll be able to get money off if you are one of the first 10 to buy. So stay tuned for that because they'll be coming pretty soon. And yeah, I'm really excited about this because it's something, as I said, I put this out before and it was just a PDF, and now I've turned it into like this whole thing that you will be able to use for every single planetary retrograde that happens from now until the end, right? So trust me, it's going to be a really worthwhile investment. Now, on Sunday, as we come into Sunday, Be mindful of the feels, right? And also, it's probably a really good time to check in on family members whose health isn't good. Might be a good time for you to consider what your own issues are around authority, if you have any. And this actually goes right through and until like into Monday. So, because obviously next week on Tuesday, on the 8th of October, we'll be doing this all again, only we'll be doing it from, that perspective. So I will say Monday in particular, right? Because you can see here at this point, Mars is directly squaring Mercury, but more importantly, the orb of Mars squaring the Sun is really coming through. And more importantly, the Sun is in the sign of Libra. The Sun is in the sign of its fall in Libra. Right? This is literally where the sun has dipped below the horizon. It's stepped into the darker half of the zodiac as the sun understands it, right? The sun is at its peak or at its zenith when it reaches, truthfully speaking, when it reaches Cancer, but when it gets to Leo, right? So as we come into Monday next week, do consider what your own issues or challenges are around authority, and particularly around the authorities within your own family, right? So who do you have issues with? Mum, dad, grandparents, whoever it is, deal with it head on, right? And do it now so that the next time Mars comes back into this space, as of January and February of 2024, 2025. Remember, as we come into the new year, something that you need to remember is this grand water trine, it won't be a feature. That will be done. By the time Mars goes retrograde, that grand water trine between Mars, Saturn, and Venus is done. It's over. So as it goes retrograde, you're not going to have that same emotional stability or support on the inward level to support you to have these hard conversations, to approach these things. Start it now. Do it now. Get this done. Get it out of the way so that the next time this comes up for you, you've already cleared out some of the stuff, right? And if you've been with me long enough, I always say, like with Cancer placements, you got to take off the shell, right? You got to take off the shell and you got to give that baby a good rinse because it gets fusty in there sometimes, right? Downright toxic, I would just call it and say, it is what it is. I have a moon in Cancer. You guys know how I am, right? So, to give you a little bit of an insight, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to get rid of these. Put this down. Oh, cancel. All right. So, what have we got? We've got I'm a Cancer ascending. I'm going bowling with the family on Saturday, and I'm sure it will be wonderful. Maybe it boils over a little bit, right? And suddenly, you're everybody's okay with the it's like everyone's having a great time with bowling and all the rest of it, and then suddenly somebody scores more points than the next, and then before you know it, you're talking about who stole whose childhood boyfriend, and all kinds of crazy stuff might pop up for you on Saturday. And yet it's a part of your journey to be enjoyed. But now that you're more aware of this stuff, you've got a chance to navigate it, right? But because Cancer is a sign of the family as well. So do pay attention to the dynamics and the things that are happening, because some of it might be really symbolic, right? Pay attention to who's not getting along at that time on Saturday at the bowling alley, because that might be a foreshadowing of, something that's going to develop further down the line. Like real talk, Kelly, that Cancer shell gets a little bit funky, trust me. Right, you got to take it off and give it a wash every now and then. Mars in Gemini, me and my dad are like oil and water. Yeah, that makes sense. Venus and Mercury at 9 degrees, seventh house Aquarius. Wow. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. I mean, Venus in Aquarius anyway, like get some raised eyebrows up in here. Anyway, back to it. I'm going to behave myself. So I will invite all of you to take a moment, to take a breath, to come into presence, to be here now with me, to take some deep breaths. And while we're doing that, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. So I'm gonna we're gonna give these a good shuffle, and I would just like somebody in the comments to say stop. Right? Let me know when you want me to stop shuffling. And this first card out is our best area of focus, right? So this is like where we can really tap into this Mars energy. Okay, stop. Thank you, Laurel. So we've got the Hanged Man. This deck, by the way, an exquisite beauty. Like it's like but fast become one of not even one of, I think it's now my favorite deck. And it was a gift from the very lovely Taurus Garden. I just love them. And I didn't have any melanated decks, and she sent me three. What a beautiful human. And I love them all with my heart, like my whole heart. So we've got the Hanged Man, right? Now, isn't this interesting that the best area of focus is internal? Right? The Hanged Man is a card of waiting, patience, stillness. It's about sitting still long enough so that you can hear the inner wisdom speak, so that you can hear the soul tell you what it needs to tell you. This is a very intuitive energy. It's very Neptunian as well. And this can also show up yes, give me just a second. This can also show up for us where we are being encouraged to really to really start feeling at a soul level where maybe we have overextended, right? Because this card, in the dysfunctional sense, this card actually represents things like martyrdom. It's where we go above and beyond, right? Now, what's really interesting about this is Mars is currently in the sign of Cancer. And you know, if you guys know me, I can talk smack about Cancer because I've got a Cancer moon, right? So I'm just casually out here airing my business at the same time as, you know, laying it out how it actually is. One of the challenges with Cancer energy is it's so intuitive that it intuits other people's needs before they even speak them. And then when people say like, oh, you know, you know, like, are you okay? Do you need anything? They'll sit and silently seethe about the fact that nobody has noticed what they want or what they need, right? Whereas you could just speak up and say, look, this is what I want, this is what I need. Now, the thing about this is it can sometimes lead to resentment. We've got Mars in the sign of Cancer, right? And so, what this is basically saying, the best area of focus is to be really honest about how you feel, to be really honest about where you feel maybe you've been taken advantage of, or maybe you're not acknowledged enough. And be honest about that. It's not about bragging. It's not about boasting. It's not about like, oh, poor me, I'm so put upon. It's about just being really honest to say, well, look, you know what? I go out of my way here, here, and here to make sure that this is done. Can somebody meet me halfway and, you know, maybe give me this because this is what I need to feel fulfilled, or whatever the case might be. Now, one of the ways that this might show up with the Hanged Man, you might feel something on a spiritual or an internal level that seeks expression. Rather than choking it down, bring it up, open up the dialogue. Mars square Mercury. Is it going to be comfortable? No. Is it going to be worth it? Yes, 100%. So the next card is area to watch out for. All right. And for this, we've got the Son of Athames, which is Son of Swords, which is actually the Knight of Swords. Right. So the area to watch out for, as soon as you feel that conflict, right? As soon as you feel that conversation or that interaction starting to get big, starting to get loud, starting to get fractious, or you can feel yourself getting, shut it down, right? Just shut it down. Don't bother getting into it. Don't add fuel to the fire. As soon as you feel that start to come up, shut it down. right? Because the Knight of Swords is a fast, aggressive communications kind of card. And I've just noticed Solar Smith out here in my comments telling me to stop. Where have you been, lady? Where have you been? For those of you that don't know, Solar is one of my previous students and an absolute love of mine. Now, back to this area of focus. The other thing with the Knight of Swords, area to watch out for, sorry. Another thing with the Knight of Swords, it's a very fast energy. Mars is currently in the sign of Cancer. Slow it down. All right, slow it down. You've got time enough to do everything. You've got all the time that you need. Even if you're rushing to meet a deadline, you still have time. Even if you've got 5 minutes to be there and you're already late, you've got time, right? I don't want anyone out here to be saying I got into a fender bender because I was rushing to be at the dot, dot, dot. No, slow it down. You have time. It's better for you to get there in one piece a little bit late and make your apologies than to not arrive at all, right? Slow it down. Finally, third card, outcome of diligent action, is the Three of Swords. Are you willing and able to let go of a hurt, to let go of a resentment, to let go of an issue so that it no longer pains you, so that it no longer stops you from achieving what is actually possible for you? This is about removing or releasing something that gets in the way, right? And this could be your emotions that are stuck. It could be conversations that you've refused to have. It could be needs and desires that you have yet to talk about. Mars is a very desire orientated energy, actually. You know, Mars wants what it wants when it says it wants it, yesterday, preferably, right? Like it's all of that. Now, the Three of Swords is a removal energy. It's a separation. But can you separate yourself? Mars is a cutting energy, right? It's a cutting or a releasing. Can you separate yourself from your hurt enough so that you can actually start to heal? Okay. So I'm going to give these another shuffle and we're going to get into the breakdown for the elements of the signs, starting with the fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. If somebody in the comments could just say stop. Hey, look, I love it. Look at these people all reconnecting in the comments. I love this, right? So Cindy Solar and Cindy B were all on my tarot course. So they're having like a little reunion in the comments. It's so sweet. Beatrice, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. You know, I like to try and keep it light-hearted and fun, but when the messages are the messages and the cards are the cards, we got to bring that real, right? Kelly over here says stop. Thank you so much. So for the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, you have the Devil card, right? So this Mars energy, the best way for you to tap into this is to be really honest about where you have convinced yourself there's only one course of action. This is a moment for you to be really honest with yourself about what habits, patterns, and addictions are holding you back. Where is it that this Mars energy in your chart is trying to show you that it's time to acknowledge, you know what, I've done this way so many times, and it's only ever given me the same result. And I'm going to share something with you. So for the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. All right? If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. It's time to shake it up and it's time to do something different. Right? It's time to make a switch. It's time to switch it up a gear. My dad used to say that to me when I was a teenager. Switch it up a gear. Come on, what's wrong with you? And I'd be like, I don't know. What the hell, man? right? And but now, like, I mean, I say now, by the time I hit about 23, 24, I was like, I get it now, right? I get it. You got to switch it up a gear. This isn't about changing. You know what I mean? You can do this. Yards, you're on it. You can do this. 3 days, absolutely brilliant. Just do one more day and continue doing one more day for as long as you can. That's it. One more day. That's it. All right. For the air signs, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, you have the Temperance card. So, for those of you that are air signs, this week Mars is really trying to show you how or where you need to get back into alignment with yourself or with your path. And ultimately, this is going to bring the right level of healing that you require, right? This is going to show you how you can move forward. This is going to show you where it is that you've been out of alignment and what you can do in order to get it back. And because I've been talking about opening up a dialogue, what like the air signs are literally the signs of dialogue. This is your time. You can absolutely, absolutely tap into this energy. The other thing with the Temperance card, it can represent therapists, counselors, healers. Maybe it's time for you to use this Martian energy to see somebody in that capacity that can actually facilitate the kind of shift and change that you desire. For the water signs, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, I mean, to be fair, you guys have got it going on right now. Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, because you've got that beautiful grand trine that's happening for you guys. And for this, you have the Six of Pentacles. Literally, what I just heard in my mind, if you've seen the Harry Potter films, when Albus Dumbledore says to Harry, help will always be available to those at Hogwarts who know how to ask for it. That's the Six of Pentacles. Like, that is like the most Six of Pentacles saying I've ever heard, right? If you are a water sign, Mars in Cancer right now is asking you to find a way to ask for what you need, to be okay with leaning on others, to be okay with opening up your mouth, your spirit, your heart, your mind, your energy, and saying, you know what, this is what I need right now, and trusting that it can and will be fulfilled. For the earth signs among you, Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo, you have the Six of Wands. So this kind of suggests that this is going to play quite nicely for you, right? The Six of Wands is a victory card, absolutely, but it's also a card of the small wins. And so this Mars energy is really saying to you, on that day-to-day level, what is it that's showing up for you that gives you reason to celebrate, right? That gives you cause to say, like, you know what? Life is good. Maybe I don't have everything that I want, but this is part of my day. This is part of my life right now. And that just feels really good. All right, what is it right now that you can be totally, and this isn't about prostrating yourself in front of the universe and saying, oh, I'm deeply grateful for, Doesn't have to be that. It's just a moment of acknowledgement to say, yeah, you know what? My life kind of rocks because of this small thing that shows up for me every single day. Yeah. The other thing that I really love about the Six of Wands, this card usually shows up for people when they've already put the hard work in and now they just need to get into that receptive mode to kind of collect. All right. So, Laurel did ask me for something, and it was this. So, Laurel, I am posting in the comments. So that is for the Lunar Lacuna. If you guys haven't signed up yet, what are you doing? Right? Like, where have you been? Now, in the chat, we've got Virgo Mars, Venus, and Mercury. Damn, that's a nice little trio there. I'm late to the party because I was cleaning the drains. That's okay, lovely. You can watch the replay. It's absolutely there. So I would like to say Thank you all so much for spending a part of your Tuesday with me. I truly appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for being here. For those of you that are watching after the fact, it really does mean a lot. And I just want to say, like, have a fantastic day. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up for you, what shows up for you over the course of the week. I love hearing from you guys in the comments, and I actually really like interacting with you. I love seeing how you talk to each other and support each other as well. It's just really heartwarming. And, I've said it a million times and it sounds really cliche and gushy, but it's true. Like, I created Radiant Reality, but you guys make it what it is. And I'm so, so, so very grateful to all of you. Have a fantastic day. Um, and I will see you on Thursday. Have a wonderful eclipse. Remember that eclipse video drops tomorrow, so make sure you check it out. All right. With that said, take care.